This is my little pal Spike. Spike is a real dog. This dog right back here is Nipper. That's not a real dog. That was RCA Victor. RCA used to make records and gramophones, and they were one of the first. And the crank thing, and it moved the record around. The big giant needle that came down and had a speaker coming out. And that was RCA, Radio Corporation of America, if I remember right. That's what it stood for. But RCA, and then they combined with Victor. And Victor had to do with Alexander Graham Bell and so on and so forth. And that was the beginning of recorded music and being able to hear it, not having to have a band sitting in your living room with you. It changed everything. Changed media, changed radio. Suddenly now you can actually play a record instead of having to have an in-studio orchestra. And that's how it all started. So I was so happy when I found that at one of those antique stores. I'm not an antique store hopper, but went into one. I was into this old town called Jackson, actually, in Northern California. It's up in the Mother Lode area where the gold rush happened and all that in Amador County. And hanging out at a bar, most likely, knowing me back then, and staggered into a antique store next door and saw that Nipper right there. And I'd always wanted one. It's hard to find this one here because later on they got cheaper and they started making them out of just plastic and they were hollow inside. But it was you put it on display at your record store or your radio store or your gramophone store, or many of them selling all of the above. That was their advertisement. That was their logo. Everybody knew Nipper because their ad slogan for many decades actually was "His Master's Voice," in quotation marks. His Master's Voice, and Nipper is looking like that and staring down at the speaker on the record player or gramophone, and that was their slogan for decades. So, me being a radio guy all my life, when I saw that dude sitting there, and I knew it was the real deal. This one's from like the 30s, 40s, not one of those hollow plastic ones that they started making later. I don't even remember what I paid for it now. Probably more than I should have, because I'm not exactly an antique guy, and I don't know what I was getting, but I just knew I wanted that. Why am I telling you all this? Just letting you get to know me a little bit better. And so there's Spike, real dog. Nipper, fake dog. Me, Charlie Simons, your host here on Do Not Talk. Talk about two things you're never supposed to talk about: politics and religion. One decides what life is going to be like here on Earth. The other one decides what it's going to be like when we leave it. So, my guest today is James Funk. James and I are going to talk about something that when somebody first told me about them, I was like, yeah. I know what contrails are, condensation trails of jets, right? I know what they look like. Something's changed. There's a lot of things that have changed. Speaking of dogs, I don't know how old you are, but do you remember when you have to clean up the dog droppings in the backyard? They all turned white. The droppings would turn white. Anybody remember that? They would turn white. Nothing turns white anymore. It stays the same color as when it came out, pretty much. Why? What changed? Their food? No, not really. It's always been crappy. You're being a far better dog parent if you actually invest a little bit more in some quality food and combine it or make your own, like my cousin Lisa does. I think it's fantastic. Her dogs are so healthy, no health problems at all. Anyway, off topic. People would start talking about it. I have friends who are like, "Oh no, it's real, Charlie." And I've seen videos with like that one woman up, speaking of Jackson, up in I think she was down in Mariposa area, which is also Northern California, but up in the Mother Lode country. She busted pilots who had been up spraying and she got into the hangar where they were putting away the plane that they had been using to do their dirty work.
Yeah. And then who are you?
I'm one of the other captains.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So you can come on outside, or not, or just whatever. Are you free now?
No, I gotta reflare.
Okay, so
stuff,
I have paperwork for you that I want to give to you. So
okay.
hang tight, I'll go get it. But then, we've been trying to reach Jody and you for a long time.
Okay.
And we are tired of you dumping heavy metals all over our county.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not the one to talk to about that.
No, but you are. But you're the one that's doing it. So I've been taking rain samples. I have over 20 samples. And every time you fly, we get high amounts of aluminum, barium, strontium, titanium, magnesium. So I want to know, are you aware of what you're doing? I know you think it's like to increase water supply for Turlock and Modesto, but it's not really happening.
Yeah, you can talk to them.
I've tried.
That,
I've called them, and they're not calling me back. So we're now getting really involved, and now we're going to bring something legal against your company.
Okay, well, you can talk to them about that for
I know,
sure.
but I want you to know, though, like, we are real people underneath what you're doing. You spray right over our houses. We hear you. We know you. We see you. We're watching your planes and your patterns, okay?
Yeah.
Twice today now. You did 2 flights. 2 3-hour flights.
It's public knowledge, yeah.
It's not really, though. That's the problem. So you have not properly notified our board of supervisors about this. Hi, are you the other pilot? Yes. Hi, what's your name?
Khaled.
Khaled?
Yes.
Okay, hi.
It's not we have people at home base that you can talk to about that stuff.
But they have not called back. So now we're getting to the point where we're getting our supervisors involved. So the supervisors of our county needs to be notified. They've not been notified. You've been doing this for 30 years. I know it's a long time. You guys are like, it's cool, it's easy. We're talking about all of the metals and the flares that you're using. So aluminum and zinc propel the silver iodide. You're spraying right over us all the time. And our plant life is suffering. They are now selling aluminum genetically modified seeds to grow food because our soil is so contaminated. Okay, so what you're spraying is not good for the environment. And it's not good for the people because there's an early onset dementia, there's Alzheimer's, things are starting to happen to people's health. And I really do believe there's a linkage to what we're breathing in the environment every day. And you guys spray us in November through April. It's your yearly contract. I'm aware of that too. So I just wanted to meet the pilots and say, where's Jody? I've called Jody. I've talked. I think Leslie was the other one. Leslie Fisher? No, it's another Fisher.
Yeah,
Lisa?
probably his wife.
Okay,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's their responsibility. That's not our responsibility.
I understand, yeah. But the money that you're receiving to do this is coming from, is it taxpayers that are paying for this?
That's not my department.
I want you to be aware. Do you have family?
Yeah, I have family.
I have family too. I have children. So we're outside and we hear your plane over us all the time. And I've been tracking this for a long time. And we have tried to get the supervisors involved and they're clueless. They were not informed. According to the California codes and law, they should have notified our supervisors because you're doing this to benefit TID. Okay? But it's not. It's happening over, well, it might be, but it's happening over our area. Okay? Sonora, Groveland, Coulterville. You're doing your little figure eight loops. My 20 rain samples will show you that on the days that you're spraying, or releasing your flares, we have copious amounts of aluminum, magnesium. There's been some barium, strontium, but titanium's weird. Is titanium also in your flares? Okay, that's unique for me. So I want you to know that there are health impacts and impacts to the soil and the plant life, all of those things. And when you do this, my whole community's watching. We don't know what to do.
I understand your opinion.
It's not an opinion, so I will show you my samples.
I don't want to see your samples.
Why is that?
You can take those to my
But you're flying the plane. But then how do I get...
And once they realized they'd been busted, man, they just shut right up. And they were not answering any questions about who's paying for this. Where's this coming from? Who's paying you? What? That was very telling, that video there. And it was a groundbreaking thing. And she had a lot of guts, that woman. I wrote her. I contacted her. I tried to get her on the show. Never heard back. But that was hot in the conspiracy theory world for a minute. Now everybody's moved on. And now they're all just saying, well, it's chemtrails. They're spraying chemicals in the air. They're spraying aluminum oxide into the air and all this kind of stuff. Who's they? Who's paying for it? Why are they doing it? Supposedly it's for the good of us all, to protect us from the mean, nasty sun. So I'd never really talked about it, and I've had these friends on who talk about it, and they're convinced that it's happening, and it's all a conspiracy, big conspiracy. And then I posted this little video that I shot while I was down in the San Joaquin Valley, of California. I just shot this little video and I posted it on TikTok. And I'm fairly new to TikTok because I wasn't going to be on there when it was that Chinese company owning it. But now that it's not, it's different. So it was the very first and so far only time I've had them delete a video. And it was because it was misinformation or whatever stupid term they use. And this is all it was. What an interesting cloud formation. Down here in Dinuba, California. I've got all these friends talking to me about all the going on with spraying and protecting us from those evil sun rays. So Bill Gates and the crowd seem to think they need to protect us from the sun. And everybody I talk to on one side says, oh yeah, it's happening. And then everybody else says, no, that's silly. That's just jets. That's the contrails, not chemtrails. Like that jet there's making, see? And then they spread out. And they make kind of like a little tarp over the earth to protect us from that wicked evil sun. You know why? Because Bill Gates, the guy who allegedly started Microsoft, and all that crew knows so much better than the Lord our God. They know better than God. This is crazy. Infuriating. It's got to stop. This is just out of control. Oh, Charlie, you're just being paranoid. It's conspiracy theory. Really? I don't think so. They deleted that. When you start doing that stuff, that makes me think, holy crap, it must be true. Let's get James Funk in the mix here and get his thoughts on all of this on Do Not Talk. Making his debut here on the show. Hit it! Hello, my friend. Welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here.
Appreciate being on. I think we have a mutual friend who referred me to you, and I appreciate it. And I wanted to just jump in, listening to your introduction there. So the woman you're talking about, her real name is Cassie. She goes on. She goes by the handle of Mellow Cat.
Yeah.
Stack and generally, she was. We shared a Zoom call with her in early February, I think it was, and a whole bunch of people from Marin County, from this group called Marin Freedom Rising Group. And, she came in. She was the guy. Catherine was. I think her last name was Sorry. And so they locked her, and then we've had some interaction on Substack and some other things. She was in the Santa Cruz area for a while. It was pretty controversial figure down there. She's not in the whole country, and I think she's maybe moving again. But anyway, she's really highly active. She's also there's a segment in the documentary Climate Trails. Have you seen Climate Trails, the documentary?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, so there's a whole bunch of documentaries that have been made since it started coming out pretty significantly in 2010. So I just wanted to, in light of all the things you just said on the introduction, so that sky you just showed in your video that they took down on TikTok, that's my sky today, right now, where I don't know what California we're in, but I'm down in the Bay Area in Contra Costa County. And the sky that over my head right now, looking out the window, is like almost identical to the video that you shot on TikTok. So I saw my first chemtrail, what I knew to not be clouds, on a ski lift in 1998 in Lake Tahoe. So I was stuck. I was captive audience on the theater
Yeah.
going up the hill.
Were you on Heavenly? Sounds like Heavenly.
I was on Heavenly or Squad.
Okay.
I might have been at,
I miss Squaw. They don't. It's still there, but they just don't call it Squaw anymore because for some reason that was suddenly
don't?
insulting. No. Great
What do
resort
you call
though.
it?
Great resort. But yeah, I was a skier too for many years, and several accidents later. It's just not fun anymore, so I don't do it. But it's different. It's different. When we were younger, and they were condensation trails coming out of jets, and that was because it's very hot exhaust coming out when the high altitude is very, very much colder, and it would form these ice. I mean, just like almost instantly, ice trails is what they were. And yes, they would dissipate to a certain point, and then the wind would blow them around, but they never scattered and covered like I said it was a tarp. That's what it looked like. It never used to do that. Something's different.
So we still have the condensation trails at
Well, yeah.
high altitude.
Sure.
With certain jets, and they dissipate within a couple of miles with the nose behind the jet. They stay the same exact length, and they stay tight. So here's the deal. I was referred to you because I got up in front of my local city council to make a public comment, and the only reason I did it at my city council was because I just wanted to do it in an official public forum. It had nothing to do with Martinez caring at all
Yes.
about it. And I didn't expect. I knew they wouldn't care, but I wanted my video to have a little bit more.
No, I loved it.
Official.
Yeah, I saw it. That was great. Well done.
Thank you. Well, I just figured if I was going to stand up in front of an official governmental body of any kind, then people might be more inclined to watch the video. So then I posted it to my various video channels. Here's the thing for me. This is a bizarre situation, and it's the most obvious thing I've ever seen. I saw it the first time in 1998. And now we're coming up on 28 years ago. I saw my first ones. What's the same as this? They just happen more now. They're more frequent now. But they're the same things I saw in 1998. So this isn't new. They've never been contrary. They're not clouds. So, and also, it's really obvious that they're not. So, why this is a debate, why people are struggling so much with this is way beyond me. There's been lots of scholarship, documentaries galore. There were two really great ones in 2010, 2012 called What in the World Are They Spreading? Why in the World Are They Spreading? That was 15, 16 years ago now. We have, recently we have The Dimming. And we have another one called Climate Change. And there are a whole bunch of smaller ones. All the first videos, just like the one you showed on TikTok. So I don't think this is a controversy other than that people don't want to. Most people don't want to face it. It's widely outside the Democratic President. Nothing to do with democracy, and it's clearly not natural. For me, I decided to make this my little primary issue because it's right in front of everybody all the time. And almost, say, 75% of the day now. Whereas once upon a time, I think it might have been 20% of the day, maybe 10%, and it became. Now it's almost all of April was sprayed. It's probably been most days since October this year.
There's a proliferation of this. I don't know what the heck they spray. Supposedly, it's all to protect us from the sun because of global warming, climate change. It's so much more destructive, and the UV rays are so much more dangerous now than ever before. Because why? Because some guy who's not a scientist said so, but he's got billions of dollars to make it happen. I'm talking about Bill Gates. He's been so instrumental in a lot of this, the more I'm finding out. And why is it even allowed? Well, it's been allowed under Obama and under Biden. And unfortunately, President Trump had plenty of other things to worry about during his first time as president number 45. It's being allowed, but I keep asking why? Why? It's that when I describe it as a tarp was actually completely correct. It's supposed to lessen the sun's rays on us. And what it's doing is, I don't know, what are they spraying up there? And it's affecting the forest. That's why we've had such rampant forest fires exploding now because of what's coming down from the sky.
So I think those are good questions, but those aren't my primary questions. My primary question is because the amount of scholarship that's been done about it at this point, they're definitely toxic. There's no question about that. They're full of barium and strontium, and the worst thing of all, I think, maybe is the aluminum. So they're full of aluminum. They're full of, well, then there's the sulfur oxides, and well, there's all kinds of nanoparticulates, metallic nanoparticulates. There have been soil samples galore, one Shasta area, and that's a real bad area for.
Yes.
But I think to reduce it further than that. So I don't care what billionaire thought it was a good idea, and I know that nobody was asked about it. There's been no public discourse about it. If there's been any public discourse about it, it's denied it. It's to just have this ridiculous conversation like it's a conspiracy theory, which it clearly isn't. For some people, people just can't deal with it. These are not natural skies. The light looks different. The sky is silver white. The sun is a feel. If you stand in the sun on the 15th day, it feels like you're being hit with sunshine through a magnifying glass. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good on your skin. It's something you want to get out from underneath. Occasionally, you have the regular.
When it's through that haze you're talking about.
It's very uncomfortable through the haze.
Yeah.
So I call it the canopy gauze. I call it gauze. You're calling it a tarp. So I call it the canopy, the trails canopy, and so it does too. So none of it makes sense anyway. Because if they're trying to block, first off, if they're trying to block the sun, then it should have been a huge public debate with votes and referendums.
Of course. Exactly my point I was trying to make under Obama and Biden. They kept getting away with this, and they still are. Nobody's even talking about it or addressing it. Why? I can't just suddenly decide I know what's best for everybody, so I'm going to put this into the water supply. No, trust me, I talk to people who know best, and I've got the money to make sure it happens everywhere. So I'm just going to start dumping something into the water. How long would that last? But here's these pigs spraying shit into the sky, and nobody's even saying, wait a minute, what are you doing to us? Why? Stop this. Nobody.
Well, there are, but lots of people are. It's just that there's
who can make a difference. Nobody who can make a difference. I'm talking about politics.
Yeah,
the law. We have the FAA. How come the Federal Aeronautics Association is not, or aviation is not involved in any of this? Who's spraying this crap? Why are they allowed to do it?
Because, well, I mean, they can do it because most government agencies are captured. And not most, all of them are. They're all captured. So I'm not going to, don't tone it down.
Money. Money, maybe money.
Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, money's always part of everything. But control, I think, at a certain point, when you have unlimited amounts of money you've already collected from, they can print money out of thin air. So, I mean, the money. So, and then they have, I don't know, do you know who Catherine Wilson Fitz is?
Who?
You heard of her?
Who?
Catherine Austin Fitts.
Ca-
Her name is Catherine Austin Fitts.
Your sound keeps breaking up when you say her last name, but I know it doesn't sound familiar the way you're saying it, the way I'm hearing
Catherine
it. rather.
Austin Fitts.
No.
She was an undersecretary for HUD under Bush Jr., I believe it was. Might have been Bush Sr., but I think it was Bush Jr. So she was inside his. And she's
Okay.
she's a finance person. She's very bright, super bright, super brilliant mind, and also an expert in economic things. Anyway, she in partnership with a professor at the University of some Michigan university. I think his name is Mark Skidmore. He did it. He decided he took upon himself to do an audit of the U.S. government line items. We accumulated transactions from the Office of Management Budget, the congressional what's it called? Congressional budget. So general accounting, all these different sources, put them all in a scope. And he came up with, this is 2017 or 18, came up with an amount of $21 trillion that had been skimmed. So there was no, there was no
Trillion.
21 trillion with a T.
Trillion.
A regular guy, a real professor at a university, and Catherine Austin Fitts decided to partner with him. It's on her website. Now they see it way high. So basically, you have a bunch of transactions which have no destination written on them. So they have an amount, but they didn't say where it went. So complete violation. There's of every auditing. Nobody knows where the money is. $21 trillion in 2018. So what Fitts calls that? She calls that. Well, I'm not going to use the real term, but it's FU money, meaning that at this point, it's no longer necessary to collect taxes for the people who did the skimming. He calls it the breakaway civilization. Via this skim, do anything they want, anywhere they want. So
Yeah.
they don't. So the financial part is the slow part is a big deal. But even that, in the world of conspiracy theory. And one of the ways you tell shut up about the conspiracy theory is that you demand that they be able to explain every single thing about the topic in order to be any part of it be considered valid. So you have to know all about every possible question. Otherwise, your initial kind of, well, that's not correct. That's not rational. That's not correct. So you can look up at the sky and know for certain, without any scientific that those are contrails. These are not clouds. So they spread out. They persist for hours. Those don't melt. They spread out for hours. That's not contrail. They're not clouds.
No, that's what I was talking about. It's different. This is different. And they used to, they've been doing it. The military and the U.S. government has known how to control weather for an awful long time. Used to do it during the Second World War, even goes back to, I think, just after the first, when they figured out how they could make it rain in different areas and so on. So we all believe that, we all know that, but yet we don't believe that this is going on with supposedly protecting us from that terrible sun. Somebody bigger and smarter and more with more money than us decided they're going to do this for the good of humanity. I think it's a horrible thing. I see the after effects of it, as you said, in the soil testing going on. Well, same thing's happening in these forests. They're igniting and spreading like, well, wildfire, which you'll see in a grass field. It's all dry, but this is happening in forests. It's not natural. Again, not natural. And these aluminum particulates, anybody who's done any work with iron oxides or anything that's any kind of metal that's ground up so fine that it's into a powder, is highly combustible.
It's also highly toxic.
So-
and if you've had an
And not to mention toxic. Yeah, aluminum definitely can cause Alzheimer's. It's been shown.
does. And so
Does.
it also, we all know it's super toxic. So you're spraying the whole sky. It's not like the people who've done the research on this are people without credentials. There's lots of people with doctorates, and there's nothing there's nothing particularly even. There's no controversy. It's just that if you're in the position of power and you control the media and the government says that it's not happening, or the government just doesn't address it at all, then the media just ridicules people who bring it up, even though it's actually happening. So here's the other thing about it. It's been going on for at least 30 years. So the military had a policy paper called Controlling the Weather by 2025, I think, in the 90s or the 80s. So I don't know if they completely goals, but that was an official policy paper of the military for a long time. So at the same time, they raise all this. They have chemtrail, geoengineering, the real term. The real term is geoengineering, and the actual trails are called stratospheric. Those are the real terms. Chemtrails that's a derogatory term. That's meant people shut up. So that's the slang term, and that's not for me. But the real scientific term, atmospheric aerosol injections. Scientific conferences about geoengineering all the time. At the same time as the whole thing is denied for 30 years. So this is a cognitive exercise, bizarre thing where right in front of your eyes, you're told, no, that's not happening. That's not what you think it is. So for me, this becomes the most obvious thing to care about, because there's nothing about the democratic process that is involved in it. If we think we live in a democracy or a constitutional republic, this was never a democracy. People call it that all the time. But it's also not a constitutional. If that can happen, as often, it happens all. It's a big deal, but it happens almost all the time. So that's over your head. You're breathing it, it goes in the soils, it gets up in the water. Then you don't live in a constitutional republic. So let's stop talking about it like we do, because we don't. If that's happening, we don't live in a constitutional republic, because that's super toxic and bad news. And here's the other thing. What about the health issue, the environmental issues? What about the I'm from Chicago, and we would get blue sky days sometimes, but not like here. San Francisco area, this side of the Sierra, the western side of the Sierra, California. When I first moved here in the early 1980s, it's blue sky, cobalt, cerulean blue sky, no clouds, and a yellow sun for the year. And the only time you had clouds was when it was maybe going to rain, and that's when it did rain. There was no hazy day. There were no hazy days. There aren't hazy, and all this is fake. So these are all man-made. And it's depressing, and it changes your mood, and it's depressive.
Yep.
And the sun feels wrong.
So we don't get the vitamin D.
No, it has a bad psychological effect. If you're in other countries, other places that don't get as much sun, people in England complain that their crops don't grow in their backyard gardens. Well, this is a major thing for me. I think this is it. I personally don't care about anything else because if people won't confront this thing that's over their head every single day, almost.
Or they're afraid to be doxxed or shut down or deleted, like what happened to me and so many others that have talked about it. But I don't care. I just don't care anymore.
But my point is, yeah, I know the reasons why people get. Everybody that talks about anything that's called the conspiracy theory gets. The attempt is to ruin and to marginalize them, first marginalize them, then maybe ruin them, or get them fired, or if people get way too close to the point, then people get harmed, right? So, but this is so obvious. But my point is that this is bad. This is obvious. This is all the time. This isn't something you have to go trying to think. This isn't the Kennedy assassination. Right, where you have to, this is firsthand witnessing all the time, every day. The sun feels different, crops grow differently, bugs are gone, bees, all kinds of things. A lot of things are different, and the sun doesn't feel right.
Bees are dying all over the place. That's been going on for a long time, and when the bees go away, guess what else is going to go away?
I know that in the Einstein quote. So.
You're not going to grow anything. We're not going to be able to grow anything.
But the idea, my point is that no one was asked, no one was informed. There are no public debates, and the only official discourse.
And that's what infuriates me, Jim. That's what infuriates me. That's when I get really hot, is over that. Who the hell do you think you are? Merely because you have the money and you decide. Now, this very same Bill Gates, who has been, I believe, orchestrating so much of this, and is also the guy who's come out in full support of depopulation, the whole 2030, 2035 agenda, the whole Georgia Guidestones thing. We shouldn't have any more than 500 million people here on Earth. Well, there's 8 billion people now. How are you going to get rid of all of them? Bill Gates and the rest of your New World Order, One World Government, Klaus Schwab idiots. How are you going to get rid of all of them? Well, we see they can get rid of them. That's why they've been pushing to start World War III. No better way to kill massive amounts of people than nuclear conflict like that. And spraying the skies, burning them out, direct energy weapons, all this stuff that even 2 years ago, I was going, yeah, that's crazy. I don't believe any of that. But now I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it happen. I'm seeing the results of it, and I'm furious. And we got to have somebody who's going to champion this to step in and make it stop. Let's start by exposing it. I've been wondering, where are the whistleblowers? How come nobody has stepped up? By the way, those 2 pilots that woman in Mariposa busted, Canada. They were both from Canada. And the company they were flying for was supposedly from Canada. How do we stop that?
So, I think the first way you stop it is to the notion that all anybody has to do is to call something conspiracy theory and then you're a kook. That entire doesn't fly.
Right.
That should be discredited.
I'm done with it. You can call me all the names you want. I'm not going to shut up.
Well,
racist, homophobe, Islamic phobe, climate denier, whatever. Shut up.
How many conspiracy theories have to be proven before the conspiracy theorists should be getting the benefit of the doubt? See, it's not
right. After a while, you think we'd finally learn, but they're still enslaved by the mass media. They truly are, even though they're at their lowest point in the history of media. People aren't watching them and listening to them and reading them like they used to. It doesn't matter. They own at least half the population who are still following these clowns. That's where they're still getting the information. They'd never watch a show like this, James. They'd never come on and sit through this.
I mean, most people don't want to. One of the things I realized is I've gone along through my life. So I was a little kid and I saw the John Kennedy assassination. And I mean, by the time I was an early teenager, the idea that Lee Harvey Oswald was responsible for that was like, are you really? And give me a break. I mean, the amount of scholarship about that day So for me, it changed there. And what I've realized is it changed at all. I don't know if it was probably always, but we have an ownership. We definitely have that. And the world has that. And this thing that we see over our heads, this happens in all first world countries. My understanding is that it does not happen in frequency in third world countries. So, but it's a worldwide thing. And what Catherine Austin Fitts talks about is the amount of money that they spend. Is there what funds this project all over the world? Well, it would be that. It would be that pool of money. He also said that pool of money would be into. So let's say you had a really bad day in the stock market. Let's say it was a big crash day. Well, there's enough money in this money pool that a huge buy order come into the stock market property. So if it doesn't suit the ownership class, the stock market crash on a particular day, that can stop that from happening. And it will come from this magical source of funds. But in any case, $1 billion in 2017, now it's way north of $30 billion. Maybe more than that. But in any case, they also passed a law right around that same time. But it was now legal for them to hide any amount of money that they want in public scrutiny. In other words, it was now legal to have a budget that never has to be disclosed, can never be audited. It's legal to just take any amount of money they want. So that's Congress made that. So this idea that we live in a constitutional republic based on the thinking of Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, we do not. So it's a ceremonial, nice story.
You're talking about when we became a corporation, and you're getting into all that.
I'm saying that if you can't, I'm saying that this is the most obvious evidence that what we have is a lot of personal autonomy. We can go to Starbucks anytime we want, and you can take the kind of job you want. And but does anybody ever go to jail or lose their job because of some governmental malfeasance or incompetence? Do they ever lose their job over incompetence? Do they ever get fired? Do they ever go to jail for really serious stuff? Really serious stuff.
No.
So, can we make that happen? Is there anything we can do to invoke that? No, we can't do that. So for voting and marching in the street and petitions and lawsuits, they're all good, but they don't do anything.
We don't. On the right, at least we don't. I can't even get people. I can't even get people behind boycotting things that are doing blatant things against us.
That would do something. That would be the only thing. People with refusing to pay for stuff would have an effect if people did it. But my point is about what I think should happen is that the discussion should stop being about the magical stuff that we think is happening, or that the words say. The Declaration of Independence is a beautiful document, and the Bill of Rights is a noble idea, but they're not actually in effect, right? So we have a customary freedom. I think that we have. It would be too much trouble to be too despotically totalitarian here in this country. It would be a lot of work, and it would draw too much attention. So we have a kind of a carry-on freedom, a level of personal autonomy. Get your coffee, but you can move around and do things. But this thing happening in our names, this is just the most obvious thing, because there are huge things. What about the Epstein files? Weren't those supposed to be released? Or weren't they supposed to be? Weren't we told that they didn't exist and then And then what is it? So is anybody going to jail? Because
Well, they have been though. They're out there, but of course the media ignored it because they didn't find Trump's name where they were hoping to find it. But other than that, they just freaking ignored it. So a lot of, and there's so much. It's just in kind of like
well,
WikiLeaks kind of thing. It's just this information dump that there's very few people who will sit there and sift through every single bit of it and go, here's something. Look, everybody, here's something. There's not very many people who will do that, have that kind of time or frame of mind. But I'm thankful for those who do. But we're like that that experiment on Benny the rat, a male rat that they had somehow rigged up a button, scientists, that if it or like a button, some kind of button situation where this male rat was in, and it would give these endorphins into the male rat's brain to give it a hit the pleasure sense. And it would last for, minutes. And once the rat figured out all they have to do is hit that button, I'll get this little pleasure wave, and just became obsessed with that. And then the scientists put food in the cage, and he was not interested in food. Put a female rat in the cage. He was not interested in the female. He just kept hitting that button every time it would start to subside. He'd hit it again. Hundreds of times a day until he'd collapse from sleep. Well, he starved to death eventually because he just was so addicted to that button.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. And also, there's another experiment where they put
So people aren't standing up, buddy. People aren't standing up is my point, James. People are not standing up because we've got it so easy. We've got it so good. You mentioned Starbucks, which, by the way, a company I definitely boycott, but I can't get any other Christians to do it despite their support of Planned Parenthood and abortion. But what's the experiment you're talking about?
Well, it was just another mouse experiment where the mouse went up to get a drink of water several times, got shocked every time, and then it stopped going up for the water even though they couldn't be backing off. So the animal died. So he got shocked enough times that he just did not try it anymore, and he just curled up and died. Then you have the Milgram's experiment, where the human being shocking the actor in the other room. Are you familiar with the Milgram's experiment?
No,
You heard of that?
I don't think so.
Okay. Milgram's experiment. So there was it was kind of like it was a test of human nature, and they put a bunch of people. They put them into going into a recording studio with recording booth in another room, and you could look through the glass, and people that were told to keep shocking the person in the chair in the other room. And if they they asked them a question, they answered them, they were supposed to shock them. And this was like they brought volunteers off the street to conduct this experiment, and they put some guys in white coats. And most of the people in the experiment, real people off the street, the person in the other room was an actor. People in the control room were real, and the scientists were conducting. So they put on a white lab coat. People at the console keep the voltage up. Every time that the person does something wrong, voltage turned up. And the people in the other room were then screaming, starting to say there's this hurting, stop, please stop. And the guy in the white coat would say, no, you gotta keep going. You gotta keep going. The maximum voltage, some people fake, some people fake. There was like tiny percent of people who didn't go all the way to the end. Because somebody in a white coat told them. So that's a really famous experiment, and we worked sort of mind control.
I had never even heard of that. That's freaky. So the actor was obviously they thought they were shocking him, but he would hear an audio tone and he would act like he had gotten shocked. That's brilliant. That's very telling. a few people would go, no, stop. I don't want to be a part of this. But then there was always somebody willing there to continue doing it merely
Almost all
because
of them.
they'd been told. Almost all of them. Oh, man. Oh, man.
And then there's the Stanford prison experiment where they took a bunch of students, just students, all of them were normal, sane people, and they did an experiment where they brought them into a prison setting. Half of them got turned into guards, and half of them got turned into prisoners. And the ones who got turned into guards, they were turned into statists, super abusive, and the prisoners behaved like prisoners, even though they all knew it was fake. There are definitely issues with human nature, which allow all this stuff that we go on and on and on and on and on. But personally, I'm not a red or blue guy. I just look at all these things that I'm describing. Going, well, my whole life. So I was born 62, 63. That was a Democratic thing or multiple thing, and we have the Republican. Every single administration, all of these people, and this country is at least 30 years old. So it's been going on. Both Bushes, Reagan, but maybe I think it was no, not Reagan. He was president in late 80s. Started with
That'd be HW.
and then George, and then
HW Bush, the original Bush, right? 89, 90.
Well, yeah, 88, whoever president was that's when I first saw them.
Yeah.
So
it was George W. Bush.
George
Bush. George H.W. Bush, I meant to say. Herbert Walker.
My mistake. My mistake. I saw them for the first time in late 90s. So late 90s for the first time.
That'd be Bill Clinton.
They've been around. But there's also cloud seeding, which is the lower altitude, different makeup of chemicals that's meant to directly affect weather in a different, more specific way.
Right.
It's not as toxic.
And they only do it in certain areas. They don't do it everywhere. I was just coming from Arizona yesterday, driving back home to Northern California, and I'm noticing out in the desert area, the southern tip of Nevada and California, the skies were, as you described, how they used to be all the time. That's how they were there. And I was like, hey, check that out. What's the deal? And then I come over like a little hill into a valley, and there's just solar panels everywhere.
Right.
Solar farms, which is also, by the way, directly affecting climate in a very negative way. But I'm like, oh, they don't want to block the sun rays for the solar farms.
Well, yeah, and also it depends on the level of you're right. It does to some extent, I think, matter about the population centers. But I know some people up in Idaho, and they say that the trailing is constant, and it's really remote. So I can't figure it out. I was in Pinellas County, where Florida, across from Tampa, a few months ago, and it was some of the most grotesque trailing I've ever seen. I included some of the photos that. On the post where I did the Martinez City Council, but they're really my point. We can go off in a million ways. This is happening over our heads all the time, and there is no public discourse about it. And it affects how much sun hits the earth. It is a macro event. That happens all the time. So it's not a conspiracy theory, and it's kind of embarrassing that people want to kind of debate it like it's kind of iffy. It's not iffy. It's definitely happening. It's been happening for at least 30 years. So I would like to see the conversation turn the page. I don't think it's reasonable to even debate any of that. There's scholarship galore, examples. So what really is important to talk about public discourse. Well, there's no democratic process whatsoever. And that means you're being sprayed like labyrinths. And
It's
that
got to
should
stop.
change.
Yes, it should. I don't know if it's even reversible what they've done.
Well,
I don't know if it's
probably-
reversible. How do you get all that aluminum oxide crap off of all the forests and all the trees and all the? It's going to affect us for a century. It's going to affect us even if it stopped now, because that's all going to seep into the soil and into the groundwater. That's got to be happening too.
But there are a lot of really smart people in the world, and if people would stop. So here's the other thing that occurs to me in my getting older age now. I don't think that most people would ever care about any of it. I think there's a tiny percentage of people that care one way or the other. Most people don't care about any of it, really. They can't be impressed by anything that's happening. Most people don't know.
It's like that rat. Just keep pushing the button.
It's actually, or no, it would be like if there was a rat that just didn't care about the button here. You're just like, well, whatever button, I don't care. I mean, just, I'm just not interested. Most people just aren't interested. So it doesn't matter how profound it is.
Because they're happy, they're complacent. They don't have to worry about what's going to be coming up in the future. They won't be here.
So there's no point in. So everything that ever really happens is happens because there's some tiny percentage of people that get genuinely active about it. Now we have this very tiny percentage of people who are super active about it on the wrong side, and they have a lot of money, and they own, control every major government on the planet. So on the world, that's it. They do. It's obvious that they do. So, and these democratic our society, supposedly the checks and balances and the separation of powers in government, tripartite government, bicameral legislations, the demonstrations, petitions, lawsuits, voting. These are supposed to be the way we control the government and as a servant. But it's not a servant government. There hasn't been probably ever in my life a servant. So John Kennedy was killed in broad daylight. Lee Harvey Oswald wasn't the one who did it. So that's obvious that he wasn't the one to do that. He may have been involved in some margin. He really didn't do that. So there's no way he had the reason. And a lot of things had to be organized by people who were in a position to organize them. So that's an embarrassing argument.
Just the trajectory of the bullet, as anybody who knows anything about weaponry or guns or anything, the trajectory of the bullet going through and hitting the dude in the front seat too at the same time, that would have to come from ground level, not from an elevated level. Just that alone should, you think people would go, well, yeah, hey, wait, what? But no, we don't.
But a lot of people have. See, but the thing is, what you realize is that no matter how much information you do finally discover, that seems it's obviously more plausible than the official story. That someone else killed him is wildly more plausible prospect than the official story of Oswald. That story's laughable, right? So all the other scholarship proves that laughable, the least plausible scenario.
Like Mark Twain said, one of my absolute all-time favorites, it's easier to fool people than it is to convince them that they have been fooled. They don't want to hear it once they believe it. That's just it. They don't want to.
Well, people also instinctively know that they don't have mechanisms of actual redress of grievance. Do you? I'm not aware of any actual redress of grievance. Like, so if I wanted to go, if I had direct, hardcore evidence of governmental malfeasance, somebody in public office, could I just go right up to the grand jury and present them with it? No.
Great question. No.
No, I would not. I would have to go through the district state attorney or the U.S. district attorney. They would vet it and present it to the grand jury if they thought it had merit. Well, how does that work? How does that make it? If you want to control, if you want to have a super serving prison, then you can't have a state gatekeeper in the way, right? So these mechanisms of checks and balances, they are phantoms. They're phantoms.
Yeah.
That's what I
I agree.
And these chemtrails are the most obvious evidence of that for me.
I was one of those guys, James. I was
that's-
one of those guys saying, no, they're just contrails. Maybe they changed the jet fuel. Maybe it's got a different formulation now, so it works differently. Well, that I found out is another way that they're doing this spraying is they have actually changed the formulation of the jet fuel.
Could be, yeah. So there are two different there's these different camps in the geoengineering resistance movement, I guess you'd call it. So the chemtrails debate now. There's this lawsuit or petition filed by a woman, Renee, I think is her last name, and she is with a group of people. And there's an official filing, research, and they're claiming that it's jet fuel. That it's just jet fuel mostly. What they can prove is that there's jet fuel, sulfuric acid, and a lot of things that having an effect. And then there's this other group of people that say it's separate issues. These are separate. These are separate flight paths. They're different jets, and it's a whole separate program. So my position is, I
think it's a combination of both anymore.
Could be, but I want to just focus on the more primary thing, was that something is happening. It's not a conspiracy theory.
And we weren't asked if it's okay.
Happening.
It's been covert.
That's otherwise, yeah. And it's real, and it's really toxic and bad. And it's what it's mostly is. It's indicative of the actual system we live in. We'll talk about a lot of secondary issues, but if you can't stop this, which is happening all the time, what are you thinking you're going to stop? What exactly do you think you could stop? If you can't stop the thing that's obviously happening over your head every day, almost now. So to speak, 80% of the days. Today is a bad day. Yesterday, a couple of days recently we had that were blue. May used to be from when I moved here in the 80s. It was blue sky,
Always.
with a yellow sun from March 15th.
And dog poop turned white.
Yeah, that's like I think that I heard you say that in the introduction.
Do you remember that? It used to always turn white because I was the kid that had to go out and pick it all up.
Have you ever heard of the Mandela effect?
Doesn't turn white anymore. No.
Have you ever? The Mandela effect is where people recall, a whole bunch of people recall something as being very specifically one way, and then now it's different, and everybody remembers. There's a whole bunch of people that remember it being another way, and it's a really, really common. It's fascinating. You should go on check one of the video channels and just type in Mandela, like Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
It's named after him for some reason, because I guess some people say he died in prison in the 80s, but then obviously he's been president of the country, so he couldn't have died. But a lot of people remember that he did. And then if you go and then you find out there's titles of movies seem to be different. Words on soup cans are different. Logos are changed. It's a fascinating thing. What you're describing might fall into that category, or it might just be environmental. Maybe there's something different about the stops that becoming white now.
I don't know. But something's very different. And it's not in a good way.
No.
All right, my friend. How do we find you? How do we follow what you're doing?
So I can be some blogs, and I'm on Substack. I have these two blogs, and then I have a kind of a matching pair of Substack pages, which kind of is sort of redundant. The, the blogs are called the Black Sheep. One is called the Black Sheep Herald and the Dead Messenger Post. And the Black Sheep Herald.
I heard the Black Sheep Herald. What was the other one?
Dead Messenger Post.
Dead Messenger Post. Wow.
Yeah. So Black Sheep Herald, I post better, good news and solutions on. It's not that I'm not that active. Mainly, what I did, I got involved with it because as a citizen, I decided that it's too bizarre. It was becoming too bizarre, and so I got involved with that thing. And I posted it there. If this is going to be posted, it's going to be posted later on some of your video channels, right?
Yeah.
So
it'll be on a bunch of different platforms, but mostly Rumble. Rumble's where you really, best place to go, I always tell people, is rumble.com/do not talk. Rumble.com/do not talk.
I'll send you.
Because they're the only ones that don't censor me and shut me down so far.
Have you been on Odyssey?
I don't even know what that is.
Odyssey's real good. You know what's good about Odyssey? What's really good about Odyssey is that they don't make anybody sit through any length of commercials at all. So Odyssey,
that is good. But I have a hard enough time getting my own fellow conservatives to go over to Rumble. They're still hanging out at YouTube, thinking they're getting all the real information they need there.
Well,
I can't even get them to go to Rumble. I'm like, what the hell, man? What's wrong with these people?
Yeah, well, there you go. That's the people that don't care, right? So,
yeah.
So I'll send you the links to my websites, and then if you want to post them when this gets posted.
Okay, I appreciate it very much. Thanks for being on the show. It's nice talking to you and not getting to meet you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for being had. That's my favorite joke. See you later. CharlieSimons.com. You want to buy a nice little here. You want to get yourself in trouble at work. Buy one of these. Put it on your desk. Let's talk about politics and religion. Bring it. Come on. Strap on a set. You can do it. Put your back into it. Get one of these mugs at CharlieSimons.com. Nice big 15-ounce mug, by the way. I got hats, I got shirts, I got all kinds of stuff there. Click on the merch store tab. Like this show, please, while you're there right now. Hit that like button. That helps with the algorithms. And comment down below. If you can do 6 words or more, that'd be great. Otherwise, it's counted as a bot. That's the world we live in now, my friend. I'm not liking it, but I'm just telling you how it is. So if you could please hit the like button wherever you're watching this. And follow my Rumble channel. Subscribe on YouTube at Charlie Simons, CharlleeSimons. Follow at twitch.tv. I'm on there as well. And on TikTok, Charlie Simons, and then the number 1. Follow these things. You'll be helping that way. You will. If you like and comment especially, it really helps. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, America, bless God.